Hello and welcome back. I have a question for you. When I say the word shark, are you picturing something like this beautiful creature? Something with a ton of very pointy, beautiful teeth, maybe a very large-bodied shark? Well, I wouldn't blame you. Movies and documentaries over the past 10 years have done a fantastic job at making us believe that that is the reality of what a shark looks like. But it's just not accurate. There's over 500 different species of sharks out there, and most of them do not look like this. Maybe a few, definitely a few, but the majority of them do not look like this. Please give me a chance to just try to completely change what you think of when you think of a shark through this video. I have no idea how long it's gonna be. I get very excited when I talk about sharks, so see how we go. But first, just the basics, let's get those out of the way. Sharks have been around here for 450 million years. That makes them older than dinosaurs, that makes them older than trees and flowers, and they've literally survived multiple mass extinctions. But the main threat that they face right now in this beautiful world is us, humans, and I don't think that's a crazy shock to anybody on this channel, but it's true. We are threatening the very existence of sharks and thus the health of our ocean. It's a huge problem. But if we're gonna understand why sharks are so important and why they matter for our oceans, we should probably know what the majority of them look like. Okay, this isn't what the majority of them look like, but these are just some very cool ones that I'm pulling out of the woodworks because they don't get any airtime. So as I've said, most people think that the majority of sharks look the same and they're all scary. They don't, and they're not. This is a shark. This is a shark. This is a shark. This is a ray, but it looks like a shark, but they're similar anyway. This is a shark. This is a shark. And I could keep going for the rest of this video if I really wanted to, and I kind of do, but I won't. So we're just gonna keep it on. The point is here, sharks are incredibly diverse and most of them are smaller than you. That's right. 80% of all of the known shark species out there are smaller than a human, with the average shark size being around 3 to 4.5 feet in total length as a mature adult. So that's not this, right? 3 to 4 feet in total length, 1 meter. That's the average shark size based out of all of the living ones that we know about today. But they can be way smaller and they can be way bigger. I mean, you know, you have whale sharks on one side of the spectrum, which get up to like sizes of school buses. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you can have spine pygmy dogfish that are literally born at half the length of the top of your finger. They're about half an inch when they are born into this world. And they grow to, let's actually see the visual. I love this book. There. These are all sharks, and you probably can't even see them up here right now, but like that's a diver, and that's the spine pygmy shark. Like this little tiny dot up there. So yeah, we've got diversity of sharks, but oftentimes we don't get to see that diversity because we only get to see those main three, the bull shark, tiger shark, great white shark, maybe even the hammerhead sometimes, but there's a lot of other ones out there, is my point. Currently, my favorite shark, not that anyone asked, is the bonnethead shark, which actually was on that page. Oh my gosh. That right there is the bonnethead shark. It's so cute. It's essentially like a tiny hammerhead. So it belongs to the same family as hammerhead sharks, but it only grows to about this big. And it's so cute. Not only are they adorable, and I literally just love them because they're like a portable hammerhead, but also because they're the only recorded omnivorous shark species to date, which is essentially, that just means that they eat meat and salad. And no other shark does that. Other sharks are carnivores, but these guys have actually on numerous occasions been documented with plant matter in their stomach, and it's not just in their stomach, they're actually digesting it, which means that they're extracting some nutrients from it, so they must be intentionally feeding on it to a certain degree. And as an omnivore myself at this stage in my life, I relate to that. So I really love them for that reason and because they're just so freaking cute. Okay, so sharks are amazing. There's so many of them. It's so good. We want to protect those. But why? Why do sharks matter? There's so many different reasons why sharks matter. I guess the two that I'll just focus on right now is that Yeah, we have this overarching thing that we hear all the time, that sharks are these apex predators, they control ecosystems, they manage food webs, and that's all 100% true. In other words, what they do, the apex predator sharks will sit at the top of the food web. They control the populations of the predatory fish that are under them, and that kind of pattern continues on. If we take sharks out of the program, then you have an overabundance of that second tier predatory animal, and it wreaks havoc on the ecosystem, going down until it's desolate. And we've seen this example play out in a few examples. We've seen it on land with the wolves in Yellowstone, where they took away all the wolves, which were the apex predators, and as a product, all the trees died. People are like, what's going on? And that's because since the wolves died, the deer were overgrazing, and since they were overgrazing, the soil became infertile, and the soil became infertile, and the trees all died. And then when they brought the wolves back and reintroduced them, they already started to see signs of like population control and like budding trees, which is crazy. And then, you know, an ocean example, if you look over in California, they have these incredible kelp forests, and they have otters at the top of the food chain there, kind of at the top of the food chain. Obviously, sharks are probably above them. But the otters would eat the sea urchins, and the sea urchins would eat the stipe, or the bottom part of the kelp. And so when the sea otters were there, no problem. We got a nice functioning ecosystem. It's all in balance. But then when we started hunting and removing all those sea otters, then suddenly there wasn't any apex predator to check the abundance of the urchins. And then the urchins boomed. And as a product, they were looking for kelp to eat, and they completely cut down the entire kelp forest because they didn't have anything checking their balance. Sharks need to play this incredible role as this apex predator. We do not want to lose them for that reason. But I think that's usually where the conversation stops. The reality is that not all sharks are apex predators. Most of them are not apex predators. They are also mesopredators, which means they are not at the top, they are not at the bottom, they are in that middle section. And I love that term. Most of the sharks that I talked about today are mesopredators, and they play an important role too. They eat, they regulate their little populations underneath them, but they also are eaten. They're important food sources for larger organisms, and they play a role in that fundamental food web. So if we take them out, we're also taking out their food source for other organisms in this food web. That's just a little bit. But there's so many other things. They're nurses of the reef. They eat sick and diseased animals so that that doesn't spread around the reef. They do so many things, but for the sake of this video, we'll cap it at that. So to sum it up, healthy shark populations create healthy marine ecosystems. Healthy marine ecosystems create abundant fish, which feeds our communities, and it creates healthy environments for us to depend on. And then in the end, healthy shark populations equate to healthy human populations. They go hand in hand. One of my favorite quotes from Her Deepness, the legendary Dr. Sylvia Earle, is, "Sharks are beautiful animals. And if you go in the ocean and you see lots of them, then you're in a healthy ocean. You should be afraid if you go in the ocean and you don't see sharks." And it's true. It's true. For so many of us, seeing a shark can feel scary because we only know what the media has shown us, which is overwhelmingly negative. But if we go and do a little bit of our own independent research, we'll actually find that they're not these crazy, mindless animals that they're made out to be, and most of them don't even look like what we think they look like. They're just magically diverse. They're out there swimming around and making our oceans healthy and happy, and we need them in order for us to be happy and healthy. In summary, a healthy ocean needs sharks, and we need a healthy ocean. So we need sharks. Well, that's all from me for this week, but I will catch you in the next video, and you're not going to want to miss it because it's a very interesting one comparing two different locations. So I will catch you then, but have a great week, and yeah, bye guys!